Alpharetta, Georgia. Woohoo! I used to spend a lot of time. I don't know if you were with E-Trade. E-Trade used to have a big campus in Alpharetta. I spent a lot of time in Alpharetta. We sure can. We sure can. Brian has a beautiful thing that he put up. Today is the first day of the rest of our lives. So this is May 28th. Let me kill our banner here. And so everything now is T+1. So how does that affect the X date? The X date is now the same day as the record date. Remember, what is the X date? What is the X date? Be careful about questions about what and when. What is the X date is the first date on which a stock no longer trades with a dividend attached. When is the X date? It's now the same as the record date. Reg T settlement has been and always will be T+1 or T plus whatever plus 2. So Reg T, Federal Reserve Board says we have to give clients 2 additional days to come up with the monies or securities. The 2 additional days hasn't changed. So now it's just 3 because T+1 instead of T+2, right? Brian and I are OGs. We've been here since it was T+5. So I can't believe everybody's freaking out. It's not a big deal. That also will affect equity option exercise, because now you're going to have to deliver shares or money the following business day. Confirmations must be delivered by settlement. That hasn't changed. That's just now T+1. What we're trying to do is narrow the time frame for a potential fail. You know, at some point we'll be at real-time settlement. Brian made a beautiful video, and I'll link to it in the video description on this. Master storyteller that it is. He has his whiteboard there. One other point, and I don't know why people don't listen to us, Brian. So the other point I would make is that when they make these changes, they remove the affected questions. So I doubt you will see anytime soon any question that reflects this change. When they reintroduce it, it's unscored. I had that confirmed. I had a guy, how do you know that? I said, well, decades of doing this when this has happened and helping thousands of people. And I know FINRA's policies and procedures. I did check with FINRA this last week and confirmed that they are not scoring these questions anytime soon when they do reappear. So that's how that's going to play out. Brian, I see you got your whiteboard. You want to comment on that?
All I need to say really is I just posted a YouTube, last week, I believe, on the new settlement, how it affects dividends, the X dates, the record dates. And I think, Dean, you made an important point. You got to know the definitions of those terms. I think that helps. Knowing that the X dividend date means without, that's what the prefix X means, without dividend, is the same as the record date, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple other changes that might occur on Series 7 when it comes to accrued interest, those sorts of things. But again, these changes will not affect the tests for some time. And I make quite a strong point about that as well. Same thing you just said, Dean. X date, same as record date. Test isn't going to show up with these questions in, 3 months.
I always think X date. I always think, Brian, you probably use this as well. I always think of X as without, like, your ex-spouse. Right? Ex-spouse means you're no longer trading with your spouse attached. If I say, hey, when was the last date you were married? That's the day before the divorce. When was the first date you're single? That's the day the divorce is effective, right? So, like I say, people I think are getting way too worked up about this. I have stayed out of getting too much in the fray of this because I don't like feeding the psychosis of people worried about these changes. I've had confirmation that last week nobody received any questions, as well as people who are testing this week. I continue to get verification of what I have said every time this has happened. T+5, then we went to T+3. It changed 3-4 times over the years, and this is always how it plays out. All right.
Let me just say one more thing. How do we know, Dean? Not only because we're OGs, old guys been around, but these rule changes, major rule changes occur every single year on almost every exam. every exam was going through changes, and it's the same thing. They can't change the risk level of the exams the next day. Everybody has to have the same risk level when they take the exam. It's the only way you can fairly, objectively evaluate people. And again, I always make the point: is it New York time or is it Honolulu time? None of that stuff applies. It does not change. They take the old questions out. You won't see any new questions for 3 to 6 months. Thank you very much.
All right, back to boom. So I hope that was helpful. Like I say,